When I woke up this morning, I felt different, lighter, closer to Hashem, and just generally happier. I thought about deleting my social media yesterday, deleting Instagram and deleting Facebook. I had no idea I was going to do that when I woke up. It wasn't in the plan. As a matter of fact, my days, they're being revealed to me, I guess. My days are being revealed to me, I would say that. Things are happening. It's very significant. When I looked in the mirror this morning, my face was different. I could see it in my face. It's actually mind-boggling to me how cutting these connections is lifting me up. I think they were dragging me down spiritually. Even the truth of the Torah, it feels more real, if that's even possible. When I was davening, I daven in English and in Hebrew because it's not my first language, and it's hard for me because I'm sort of dyslexic, so I have a hard time, but I do some davening in Hebrew and some in English because it's really a time thing. I'm so slow in Hebrew. It can take me 3 hours to get through davening, so I don't have that much time in the morning. But there's this one little verse that I read this morning. It just popped out to me. It's actually a Kabbalistic thing. I can't remember the name of it. There's something in Hebrew when you're reading and it just pops out, or you're looking for a book and it just stands out. It happens to me all the time. I have a ton of books, and sometimes I'll just walk to my shelf and it just pops out. Read this one, and there's a message in that book for me. But this struck me this morning, and I've read it hundreds of times, but it said, "For most of their deeds are desolate, and the days of their lives are empty before you. The preeminence of man over beast is non-existent, for all is vain." And isn't that the truth? All the vanities I've been involved in the last 5 years. Such sheker, such falsehood, such idol worship. Pure idol worship. Me being in charge, me thinking that I can do whatever I want, and Hashem showing me, no, you can't. I'm in charge. You decided to serve me over 15 years ago. You made a commitment, and your life has changed. You're no longer part of the outside world. Now, I did things that put a separation between me and Hashem. And the wig, it's not even a question. The wig was a huge avodah zarah. I can feel it. I feel different. I even look different. My face looks different. And I was thinking as I'm scrubbing the web of my face, it's really impossible for me to get rid of my face because this last couple of years, I was speaking in groups and being filmed on Zoom, and I was always in a Sheitel. I was always wearing a wig. I can't erase it. As much as I want to erase myself 100%, I can't. It is there forever. And that is really what we do when we do things in the world. As much as we want to go back and take it back, we can't. It's forever. There are some things that are just forever. And we can regret them, but they're there for all to see. And I have a lot of that in my life. So what does this have to do with an aura? Well, I was looking at auras, reading about them, looking at the science behind it, because science forever has rejected that spirituality is even real. So those that could read auras were dismissed. But there was a scientist who created this camera that could actually capture an aura. And then science began to look at this and admit that there's something going on. It was known as a biological plasma body, and a professor, a Soviet scientist, said that it's the biological energy common to all living organisms. It's known as bioplasma. So this is actually acknowledged in the science world and can be photographed. And our aura will actually leave a residual image in the place where we were. So those places that we go to, depending on where we are in our life, we leave that residual image. So I have left a residual image of me in that wig in a lot of places. But that's how energy works. You can't take it away. It's the same with your mouth. Whatever you say, you can't take it back. It's written that it's like feathers. It's like a pillow. You say something and it just spreads, never to be retrieved again. That's how the vibration works. That's why it's so crucial to be careful with what comes out of your mouth. Not just what goes in, what comes out. There's life and death on the tongue, literally. I want to talk about this aura, though. I'm actually looking at photographs of people that were being filmed, and they were doing different things. One is just various volunteers before and after laying tefillin. And I know that the physician that was doing this testing, he took benign people. He didn't take religious people. He took those people that were just benign, had no feelings at all towards religion, and he did testing. And the colors went from yellow to purple pink, green to purple pink. Women that had their head uncovered were a little purple on top. That purpley pink aura that I told you about, that someone told me before I ever converted that I had. And afterwards, it's lightened up when a woman covers her head with a tichel, with a scarf. There's a white light. It's like really light. Goes from a dark pink to a more of a powder pink, but on the whiter spectrum. And white is the highest, in my understanding, in these auras. I watched a video that showed what happens when a woman wears a wig. It's total darkness over the head. It's not even a question that wigs are preventing us from being our brightest selves. It's so significant. So significant. I personally feel it. I feel it. I feel it in my dwelling. I felt it when I woke up, and I can see it in my face. Ridding all of that energy, that idolatrous, low aura, black energy, taking it out of my house, changed me 100%. And it's been 48 hours. I deleted my social media. How many times did I log into Facebook and hate it? But I went there anyway. There were times, I'm going to confess now, there were times when I was going through some sad times after my divorce, when I would scroll for hours on end. And I knew that the network was yanking out my brains, and I just kept doing it like a drug. Because you get a drip of dopamine in your brain every time you hear a ping or you go to the next image. It's a drug. I could feel it in my head, but sometimes it would soothe my brain. Just like when an alcoholic needs a drink and it soothes them, it's the same thing. It was very subtle, but it was definitely there. I read data for fun. I go to PubMed and read studies just for interest. I know how damaging these social media networks are to the brain. And I also know the pull and how hard it is to get away from them. This is really serious. This is time that we could be doing good in the world for Hashem. But we're being lost into these networks, wasting time. We only have so much time here. This world is a corridor. We pass through it and go to eternity. Only a fool looks at this world and thinks that's all there is. If you think this is it, then I highly suggest you go deeper into yourself. Start cutting off these pulls that are bringing you down, bringing you to a dark place. This world right now is not being run by holiness. Evil abounds, and you can see that by what people chase. They're not chasing the ways of God. They're chasing their own stuff. And I know all about this because I was caught up in it. I had 1 foot in and 1 foot out. The one thing that I used to sort of detest when I saw religious Jews, that, oh, I'm religious, but I'm part of the world. You know, I got to have all the gashmias. Well, but I'm so religious. I'm religious when I daven, but after that I rush to the sheker. That was me for a long time. Now I feel just free. I feel free. I can't tell you how free it feels and how good it feels just to be in the world and not be caught by those tentacles and that really sticky webbiness. You know, I'm on YouTube because YouTube, to me, it's a place for creators. It is a creator's platform. YouTube is, in my opinion, is safe because YouTube will only serve up those things that you're interested in. So if you're only watching clean things all the time, that's all YouTube's going to serve up to you. I never see anything on the right side of YouTube. Any suggestions? They're all about Torah or maybe something in science, because that's all I watch. But the best part of YouTube is the lack of scroll. It's the scrolling that is the most damaging thing to your brain, in my opinion. It's the mindless scrolling, dopamine dripping that is really harming our thought process. We can't even think beyond it if we get caught up in it. And it happened to me, so I can talk all about it. But you can stop it. You can just not be on those networks. And that's what I've done. And that's what I highly suggest to anyone who's even listening to this channel. You know, interestingly, social media is recording everything, just like the aura is. Just like the residual aura when you leave the place. Social media is recording everything, and so is the aura. But is there anything in the Torah about this? Is there any writings to back this up? Yes, there are. In the Zohar, it says the shadow is in the intermediary between the spirit and the body, and all of the person's deeds are recorded on it. Our deeds recorded in our aura. I talked about that yesterday. And I'm just going to tell you again that when I do these videos, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm just recording. So it's interesting that I spoke about yesterday being recorded. In the book, everyone's life is being recorded. And where is it being recorded? In the aura. Along these lines, the Talmud states that a human being not only has a shadow, but a shadow of a shadow, as opposed to certain spiritual beings that only have one shadow. This is in the Kabbalah from the Arizal. But there is a verse in Tehillim that says, "A man walks as through a shadow." And another verse, "Until the sun spreads and the shadows." This shadow, this is mentioned in the Torah. The aura is mentioned in the Torah. Now we have a Carillion camera that can actually photograph this image. In the coming revolution, science discovers the truths of the Bible. Rabbi 𝐓𝐫𝐿 says, I need to impress upon you the heart of the matter. We know that the soul is comprised of 5 parts, each one higher than the one before it. I can only wonder what was happening to my souls when I was covered in the idol worship. What was happening to my souls when I had that idol worship in my house? What was happening to my souls when I traveled from one part of the country to the other with this in my possession? And what's going to happen to my soul now that I've freed myself from all of this idol worship that is talked against over and over? One of the commandments, no gods before me. Hashem controls everything. Nothing else but Hashem. Nothing. And I will say also that because I have rid myself of this horrible idol worship, I can see how idolatrous it was. When you're in it, you can't see it. When you're in the muck, you can only see muck. You look around and everyone else is with you in it. You're all the same and you feel normal because you're with it. But when you pull yourself out and you rinse yourself off and you start cleaning yourself up and doing tshuva, the world looks different. You can really see through the eyes of Hashem. You can see things that Hashem tells you what you might have had struggles with, and now you're like, oh, Hashem, I get this now. I couldn't get myself to do that before because I was so tainted. I was so covered up with all of the world's sheker and lies, the world of lies. But you will start to see the truth as you peel away all of these things in the world that are not benefiting your soul. None of this stuff is good for your soul. None of it. You are feeding only your body that is headed for the grave, headed for the worms. And if death isn't in our face more now than ever, I don't know when it could ever be. Hashem is in charge right now of everything. He's in charge of the corona. He's in charge of all of it. Corona is crown in Hebrew. It's so obvious what this is. It's so obvious what is happening to the world right now. No, it's not the communists. No, it's not someone trying to take us over. It's not the Illuminati. Yeah, all that stuff it's going on, but that's not what it is. It's us choosing to connect to all of that and worshiping it by reading it and following it and feeding it through social media. What a great tool of a Satan to do this, to just lure people in. And if I hadn't been a part of it for a long time and pulled myself out, and it's only been 2 days, but if I hadn't done that, I could not be saying these things to you right now with clarity. No craziness whatsoever. No matter what you see, it is not the case. When you look around and see material things and success of others, you are only seeing the lie of the world. You are not able to look into the future and see where your destiny is. Every one of us, our destiny is the dirt. It's the dirt with the worms. This place is temporal. We are here to clean up our lives as much as possible before we go to the eternal world. This is nothing but a corridor. This is written in the classic sources of Judaism, and it's the truth. And it's the big challenge we all have here, is to see beyond all of these lies and all of the materialism and all of the idol worship and all the bowing down to money, thinking that is what's going to save us. Times are coming, and I'm no prophet, but I've read it from many sources and I've heard it from holy people. Times are coming, and I was also told this 15 years ago by someone. There's a time that's coming when nothing's going to save you, not even your money. Money can be destroyed in a heartbeat. Billionaires are dying. There was a billionaire that died last year, a billionaire went swimming and was drowned. Rosh Hashanah, it was decreed. Who's going to die by sword, by drowning, by fire, by choking, by strangling? Who's going to die these ways? It's all decreed in Rosh Hashanah. That billionaire was decreed to drown. He went on vacation, went swimming, and drowned. That money did not save him. This is what's coming our way. So my suggestion is to get clean. Clean up your life. Cleave to God. Cleave to the one true God in the world. Not the false gods of money. Not the idols that neither hear, smell, nor speak. There's only one that will save you, and that's your Creator.